What's up and welcome back to the Learn Beach Volleyball Fast podcast. I'm Alex, your podcast host, and this is part 2 of my very long, very insightful interview with the original beach volleyball Olympic gold medalist, Kent Steffes. As I said in the intro for the first part of this interview, this is a very insightful conversation where Kent goes into a lot of details about our sport, and honestly, details that I haven't really heard anyone talk about until I talked with Kent. So I do truly believe that regardless of what level we play this sport at, there will be a nugget or several for you to grab from this interview and run away and implement and become better. So if you truly care about becoming a better player, then I would at least highly recommend you to listen to all of this, take some notes, discuss these things with your friends and your partners and training partners and whatnot, and try them out and see how they work for you. And yeah, that's what I would do. Other than that, there's not too much to say except that I'll do what I usually do when I split up interviews into several episodes, which is I'll replay just like 30 seconds or so of the interview where I cut it off from the first part, just so you get back into the groove of the interview, and then I'll let it play from there. All right, let's get started.
And because there's value in trying something and testing out a new thing. There's value in that. Yeah. So if somebody has a completely wrong idea, give it a shot. That'll help you mentally, emotionally too. So, I'm going to train something super mechanical, knowing I'm sort of, it's probably not the right way to do it, but do it. Then I'll go back to the other way. That could be a bit beneficial, sort of expanding your ability to learn and grow and create. So yeah, I could see that.
Part of the mechanical training I sometimes use is to get people to explore. So I actually tell them to do too much and I tell them to do too little, and then start finding the in-betweens. And sort of, it's like,
yeah, that's not mechanical training. That's mental training. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, that's intergame of tennis stuff for sure.
Yeah. Yes. So. Yes.
Yeah, explain to the audience what you're talking about. So yeah,
we are ultimately changing the mechanics of the player, but the methods I use to make that happen are not the same as you will see in a lot of youth coach.
Definitely, you need to change mechanics of athletes. It's how you change them. Yes. Is mechanical training versus rhythmic power. That's the point. Yes, we clearly. If all right, like. All right, I guess we're on to passing, right? Is that our last skill we have here? Do we have any more skills?
We can go.
Let's learn how to pass. We have 40 minutes to learn how to pass. So if you go to passing's really easy because it's a really simple skill, right? Okay. Footwork is of course normal, but it's hard. All right, so let's do passing. So if you go to any practice, what you see people doing this when they're passing. All right. And if you watch video, nobody swings their arms, but everyone in practice is swinging their arms. They're doing this. That is wrong, right? When you pass, your arms barely swing, right? So first of all, again, everyone's practicing incorrectly. What's the point? Back to what we always start this way. Our goal is to win, period. What is our philosophy of passing, right? All right. If I take the ball and I drop it on the table, which way is it going? Up. Drop it down, it's going to go straight up. If I drop it on the corner of the table, where is it going?
To the side.
You don't know. Right? Yeah. Right? You don't know. So the point of passing is to have a flat place for the ball to hit. Mm-hmm. In the direction you want it to go. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what your goal is. Right? And that is, so everyone's like, you think it's so simple. Well, all right, now we're back to like hitting. Now we have a string. How do we get to this position? So right, it's different between training forwards and backwards, right? Mm-hmm. So in this case, the athlete needs to learn to orient himself in space. The platform, the flat platform in the right direction is not an important thing. Not the way they teach you. Okay, this is where your feet are. When the ball comes, you squeeze your hands and you put the blah 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 blah. No, it's not it. So. Again, I'm not a coach. Listen, if I was going to teach passing, I would do what I did when I learned how to pass. Because when I started playing volleyball, minonette, that would be indoor volleyball. It's not volleyball. Beach volleyball is volleyball. I couldn't pass, so they took me out in the back row, right? You could do that. And so I only got to play half the game, so I was kind of sad, and the game's not as fun when you have to play the whole time, right? So I wanted to teach myself passing. So what I did realize this is, all right, so you have your arms, and the problem is your arms are not like the top of your tabletop. Your arms are like a bunch of, if you were to see my desk, there's all sorts of different things, right? You got all these bones all over the place where if it hits any one of them, you don't know where the ball is going, and you're trying to get the ball to go to your specific place. And then you have an ulna and a radius, right? I'm sure, I don't know what language you guys know, but there's the bone that comes off the thumb and the bone that comes off the pinky, and one of them rotates and one of them doesn't. Which, right, now not only do you have a table, but you have this bone, which is creating this surface, which, if you're doing this, where's it going to go? So what I used to do is I used to take a ball, and I said, all right, I'm going to learn how to have a proper platform in the proper position on all the bones in my arm, right? And all the ways my arm can move. So the first time I did it, so I did two things. I had a ball, and I would hit the ball off the wall one arm at a time, all right? And the first time I did it on this really flat part of your arm, right? Like really, like elbow, can you see? Elbows under, like that.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. And I try to just 10 per arm. It's not easy when you're learning to play it, but try it. And I've seen like pros that can't do this. The second one is I would do it exactly flat on top of the radius, right? So here's one part. I do it this way. Here's another part. Okay, I'm doing the top in case I get stuck somewhere. Because again, your body's moving and you're moving your arms and you're trying to get in a position and you're maybe even diving and there's all these. Too much is moving around. You can't be certain you're going to get a flat part. So you got to train for it. So now I'm this way, right? Then the next thing I do is I do it off the wrist. Not because you're supposed to pass the ball off your wrist, right? You're supposed to pass it in between the wrist and the elbow. But just in case, plus I'm training my body how to use the different bones that it might hit. So then, and my hand would be, if you can see this, so my hand would be like this, okay? And I would hit it off this part right on the wrist, the wrong place. You're not supposed to pass there, just in case. 10 times per side, and then I do like a flipper. Not because you're supposed to pass like this, but just because I'm training my body to get in the right place. It depends however my arms are as I'm going in space. Right.
Yep.
So no matter where it hits on from the elbow down, no matter where it hits, I practice creating the right platform in which to do it, right? And then you just gotta, I used to do a lot of work on the balance board, all right? So specifically for this, and I guess, does everybody know what a balance board is? I don't know, right? I mean,
so one of my questions is I want to ask more what type of balance board it is, because I read about this balance board.
Okay. So I guess if you go like balance board Amazon, it's just got a cylinder, right?
Yes.
And a piece of wood on top.
Yes. Okay. So one of those, I think the Indo board is one of the brands that create those.
Yeah, and mine had one where it was within a rail, so you could only go back and forth. So you're balancing, right? So the first thing
only two. Well, it's 2-dimensional, but it's not 3-dimensional.
You can only go this way. Yeah, it's only like this, right? Trust me, you don't need anything complicated.
Yeah.
You don't. All right, let me give you the philosophy is you're trying to learn to separate your bottom half from your top half, right? Because that's what you're doing when you're passing, right? Mm-hmm. Your bottom half is working in one direction, and your top half is doing. You understand? Like, remember what we talked about? Like, your body operates in 3 planes, right? So you can move forward, back, you can move side to side, you can twist, okay? And the purpose of sport, we talked about it, how the purpose mentally stress you out. The purpose of sport is to get the athlete in the out of balance position, Because what happens when you're out of position, your body naturally wants to pull you back into position. So good sports, the ones we play, the ones that have lasted, all test the human person in these planes out of balance where they have to be strong. Right? So in this case, you are specifically, your top half and your bottom half do not match. So if you don't train yourself, your body will be pulling you back into balance and away from being able to pass a good ball. So one of the ways you do it is the balance board. Again, you don't need the one that's three-dimensional or this and that, just back and forth. Back. So the first thing you do is you get on the balance board and you try to balance. Once you learn that, what I can do is you can roll. You basically rolled over the cylinder, right? So you're doing this, right? So then you're rolling. You could do this. You basically, you get balance, right? Now the second thing is you get a ball, okay, and you take a ball and you get on the balance board and you hit it back and forth on your arms like this. So you're hitting ball. Now you take the balance board and you sway it back and forth at the same time. You're doing this. So again, your lower body is working independently on your upper body, and then because I'm me and a little bit more extreme, I would watch TV. So now we're working the visual. So again, if you actually do, if you do really fast motion capture of athletes, they're not looking at the ball when they pass. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. They're looking out. They don't need to see the ball, right? So you are on the balance board, going back and forth. You're doing this with the ball back and forth. You can do whatever you want. You can flipper it. You can do it on the arm, and you're watching TV. It'll make you such a good player. It's phenomenal exercise, in my opinion.
I know what I'm doing next.
But make sure you clear the space out because you can fall, right? But
yeah. No,
but that's the training I did in my house.
Yeah. This makes a lot of sense to me. Sometimes, let's see if I describe this, if you recognize this. Sometimes I describe things as putting your platform in the right position to touch the ball, whatever the body has to do, which means sometimes you're falling with the body afterwards. But the most important part is getting the platform into the right spot.
Absolutely. There's no other option.
Exactly. And I think maybe this is the same thing as you describe, to not let the body get back into balance, but actually prioritize putting the platform in the right spot.
Psychologically, your body is fighting you to get back into homeostasis, always back into balance. Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes when I coach athletes, I tell them that they sometimes need to sacrifice the body, and then they can fix the body. You might end up laying down in the sand, and then afterwards you deal with that. You get yourself up again and you continue playing. But it's like I had this one mental picture once, which is I imagined that my body was only my platform, which is my arms and my eyes, and everything else was just space. It was just like a ghost that I didn't control in any way, and the only thing I needed to do was watch the ball with my eyes and get the platform in the right spot, and nothing else mattered.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. And then we work back from the string to find out why that's not happening. And what you talked about was a mentality. They used to. They don't. I don't think they do coach on ones anymore because you get fired and it's all you get canceled as a coach. You can't be mean to your students anymore. You can't torture us. So they throw the balls around the gym and we'd have to go and dive. And it was horrible. So first of all, you hit your pelvis and that gets bruised. And every once in a while your shirt gets chunked and your chin goes. And you cut open your chin, your doctor has to sew you up, and you got to go back to practice and do it again because they're trying to train out of you. And one of the coaches was like, if it's the difference between you getting the ball and you going to the crowd and getting injured, you get the ball, or you're not on my team. And he told me one day he was going to rip my arm off and beat me to death with it, and I was pretty sure he was, because I was messing up. But yeah, so you can train it. The modalities, I wouldn't even know modern modality for that because our modalities were so simple. Did you ever see the movie? What was that? The Karate Kid. What was the one after that with Johnny with Cobra Kai?
Is Cobra Kai? Is that when he goes to the gym?
Well, it's the Karate Kid, like with Ralph Macchio, and then it's the Cobra Kai, the karate movie. Okay, so Johnny is now the sensei of the crow, and so they're sitting there, and he's teaching them karate, right? And he goes, and I explain, and he throws his hand at the person, and the kid flinches. He goes, he stops the movie. It's the most classic line. He stops and he goes, "We got a flincher." And he tells the lower guy, there's an assistant, he goes, "Line them up and punch them all in the face until they stop flinching." Right? So it was the funniest thing. I thought, that's pretty much how they trained us. If you were afraid of diving into something, they would set up a bunch of chairs and make you dive in them until you stopped. So if there are any coaches out there who have a modality to get rid of that thought, because it's a perfectly rational thought, they don't want to dive in, it's correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Line them up and punch them in the face, coaches.
Exactly. And this is we talked about Finland before. We talked about Finland before we started recording, but this reminds me a little bit of my childhood.
Exactly.
But I people have trained volleyball by having someone be super close to you, so you stand in defense position and you have someone just banging balls at you from a super close distance to get rid of this fear of the ball, and just like, does that make sense? It sounds a little bit similar, like getting punched.
Well, I think when we used to do it, they wouldn't let us use our hands. So we would have to dig the ball without our arms. And they did the same thing as you're saying, but without arms. Yeah, those were the fun times.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one question about the balance board more. So you stand on the balance board and you have a ball and you have the TV going. Are you doing the ball just up and down to yourself, or are you doing this with a wall? So are you peppering with a wall as you're on the balance board?
No. Just simply like one arm, left arm, back and forth. Like it's a simple. If you were to do that, that's all you want to do. You're separating your lower and upper body. You have a ball, right, which is what you're doing, right? So when you're passing, as I said, your lower body is doing one thing while your upper body is supposed to be doing something else, and you're playing with a ball. So you've accomplished the training goal. And you just add in the TV, one, because it's boring, and two, then it helps you with vision, so you get to watch TV. So no, but just up, like just one arm, left arm, back and forth. Again, so your body. So ready. Here I am. I'm on the balance board. You can't see my lower body, but it's going back and forth, and my upper body's. That's the point. It's going back and forth, and my upper body's completely calm.
Yeah.
Right. So
that makes sense. Are you at the same time because before you said you trained the different parts of your arm, different parts of your hand, and having ball control with those? Would you do this at the same time? Like
but you can't really do this one. You can't really do the under one, because that would be kind of weird. It's hard to go back and forth yourself on this one. But yeah, you can do that. Just experiment with it. Just do it. Have fun. Like, look, if you're a beach volleyball player and you love it, you're just gonna have fun and experiment and try it. Yeah, try a flipper. Try it. Put your hand together. Do a fist. Spin the ball. Yeah, just have some fun with it, and you'll see what you like and what you get out of it, and
I agree with you.
First of all, I never thought there was anything like crazy complicated that I had to do and train. It just go out there and you're playing with a ball, all right, and in the sun, in the sand. It's super fun. Just go have some fun with it, with your training too. Go for it. Go for your serves. Why would you want to play a game when you don't want to set the ball in your hands? Because that's fun. It's fun to learn these things. When you want to really make that awesome serve. Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I've been drinking water. I need to go to the bathroom. If you need to go,
I'll get some water too. Sure. I'll go too. We'll be back in a minute or so.
I'll be back in a minute. Yeah.
All right. What are we on next?
So we're back. I gotta put in a small second of appreciation and gratitude for you doing this episode. It has been amazing so far. And I have more questions that we can go into if you still feel up for it.
Fire away.
Yes. So where do we go next? Yes. charting players. This has come up a few times during our conversation. I had a question about that because I read in the Gods to Ghosts article about that you had been charting play. Did you have do you have any tips for charting players, like making it more systematic, making it more efficient, like the actual work of the charting? I thought for a second how I would probably go about it, which was I would probably find video. Let's say I want to chart you. I would find video of you, and then I would find 10 times where you maybe hit a line shot or a line spike, and then I would sort of cut these out and get them after each other, and then I would try to look for commonalities or tells for you when you're going to do that, and then I would compare that with all the other shots that I also gather from you and see if this tell is only happening when you're doing the line spike. Does this explanation make sense? It's like how did you go about that?
There you go. That's the question. What are we trying to accomplish here? It doesn't matter what you're going to say, because like I said, I'm not a coach. I don't do lectures on charting, but I did chart a ton, so I could just recreate what I was thinking at the time. The difference between charting and Mininet and beach volleyball is there's a lot more people in Mininet. There's 6 of them, and they're running all sorts of complicated plays. Beach volleyball is not that. So one of the main challenges you have in charting an opponent is what I said about the standard set. If you are on the angle and he hits line, what is charting that going to do? So what are you charting? Are you charting that he hit line or that he correctly hit the open space? You with me? So again, what's your philosophy here? Like, well, all right, so the guy hit 10 straight angle shots, and then you go in the angle and he hits the line. What have you learned? All right? Oh, he's hit 10 straight angle shots. I'm going to go in the angle, and then he hits line. Right? What are you trying to learn? And so we talked about it before. And you're looking for tells. Again, it's 2 people or one. Sometimes it's one person because you're only going to serve that guy, right? So you're looking at one person, and pretty much you can get all the tells on a player. When you're watching film, when you slow it down, you'll get all the tells. The question is, can you get it fast enough? So just because I know what Michael Jordan's going to do, he long steps before he pulls up for the shot, doesn't mean I can stop him, right? So you're also trying to find tells that you can actually exploit, tendencies that they do, right? And it's not easy. Like let me give you an example of when charting and charting is correct, but it's more like you're scouting, all right? You're just watching the other player, seeing what he's doing. And I think the way I charted it was how many blocks I should have made that I made, how many defense, or like the other ones, but it's like Randy Stoklos, okay? We took down, I became the #1 player. St. John and Randy were the #1 team for 10 years, winners of everything, and I took them down, and it became #1, and it was for this one little thing. Because I'd studied him and charted him, and I couldn't figure out what to do, all right? Till finally, I was in Cleveland, and I was playing against him, and it clicked. He had a small, microscopic hitch in his swing as he went forward. So he would start to swing, and he'd go, and then come back and swing again. My block timing was off. And he would just smash the ball off your arms, either pass you out of bounds. And I found I was like, it was something I couldn't see on the tape, right? So again, I was looking for what was going on. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from the charting or the tape. It's what the focus is on. And the moment I was like, oh my God, I am going too early. I changed my block timing. I blocked him 3 straight times. He didn't know what to do because it had never happened. He started to go for the shots. He was done. We could beat him every time, right? That one simple thing. So you're looking for that. You're looking for that one tell, that one tendency that's going to get you. Geez, I mean, we had to get 15 points. Okay, the games are 21 rally scoring. I mean, how many points do you need in a game to win it? 3, 4. I mean, I think if you chart the games that we played at our scores versus now, I think the scores are like 4-5 or 6-4, aren't they? You know, and a 20-point, in a 21-point rally scoring event, there's 42 serves, max, let's just say, right? Like, all right, how many points you getting out of that? Not that many. You're really looking for that one or two things a game. You get one or two, three more points that you wouldn't have gotten, you're going to win a lot of volleyball games, right? So, yeah, and you want to see how they move, like how right. Well, first of all, I mean, blocking, it's so freaking easy to get past a blocker because they always have. If like they do things, they jump this way. They do things, they jump that way. You know, Travis, if you're watching this, he and I go back and forth. We probably have the same way. I told him how to block. He argues with me all the time. Not that you are. I'm just saying. But so he does these big giant moves. He thinks he's trying to be sneaky. I would beat him every time because you can. They have to leave the sand in a direction before you have to hit. And there's only a couple ways to do it. And they will, everyone does, you gather and then you jump. And you gather and you jump a certain way. There's watching the blocking tells is easy. The hitting tells is hard. It's harder to figure out what they're doing because they're looking at you to see what they should do, right? So as I said, are you looking? You're looking to see the mistakes. You're looking to see the tells. You're looking to see how they respond to what the defensive set is. So if I move right and go left, are they going to hit the line? If I move left and go right, like what are they cluing onto? You can really learn that about people. Like are they looking? All right, so let's imagine you're gonna do the block angle. Guy goes in line. Are they looking for that play on you? So can you fool them? Again, you're trying to fool them. You're trying to jump on their mistakes. You're trying to get their tendencies. So it's not so much that I got a pen and a paper and I'm doing that. I'm more like I am doing the pen and the paper because that gives you some structure around how you're watching it. So I would recommend that. But you got to be thinking about what am I trying to like. All right, a lot of times you'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get any with that. Was there a play that could have happened where we could have made a point on that one? And a lot of times you're like, no, that's probably not. I used to sit with my coach Mark. We just talk about, well, look at that. Like, they did this play, they did that. Yeah. So you're just trying to get a visual map of their opposing player, so that when you're competing against them, your body clicks. I know what's going to happen, and you go for it. That's the point. His tendencies.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fuck, I lost.
But it takes time. The problem is it's time, and athletes don't want to sit and watch video. You gotta put away the first shooter video games. Athletes tend to be they want to be active, and you got to sit down with a chart, and you got to be like this. Like your athletes are going to complain. They're going to complain. Coach, this is boring or whatever. Like it's boring. Well, why not? Can't you? What's funny? What I love is some coach is watching video charting for a beach volleyball player. That is asinine to me. If the athlete's not watching and charting, it's doing no good because they're not getting the visual map in their space to be able to utilize it. It's hilarious to me. Okay, remember we talked about everything about sports is meant to challenge you some way as a human being. Athletes don't want to sit on a couch and chart. There's famous books on American football. They have beautiful, beautiful rooms with big, giant captain's chairs, and half the team has fallen asleep during the the video. And they're like, "Do we wake up Lawrence Taylor?" He's like, "Nah, let him sleep." Because it's torture for an athlete to have to sit there and watch video. But look, don't kill yourself if you're an athlete. Try 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Work up to an hour. Anything you can put in is better than nothing. Right, so don't try to go watch 4 hours of game film every night. You're gonna have to learn that. But yeah, trust me, I know you don't want to do that. You want to do 100 other things and watch video constantly over. Like, by the way, and what's funny? I don't even know if I don't have enough. Like, I'm not involved in the sport, as I said. I'm no coach, but we had videotape, which we could do slow motion. And now, isn't everybody on a computer? Like, we had big ass TVs. Okay. We had such big TVs, and it was tape, so it wasn't good quality. It got better, but we could go slow-mo with a big-ass tape, with a big-ass TV, okay? I don't even think that's available anymore, unless maybe like some country has a national training center, right? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we could really get a lot of detail on how they're like where the ball was coming, and again, if I'm going to hit the ball this way, my hand has to start here and be moving this way. You know where I'm going to hit when I start to move my arm. You can't do that. That's not how a ball gets hit. You don't do that. You hit the ball this way. Hit the ball that way. Your arm's moving. So yeah, but trust me, it's boring. You know,
Mm-hmm.
try to make it fun. Do it at the bar. You know.
But you're basically you're looking for. I think you're looking for tells that happen so early that you can utilize them.
What else can you do?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
If Phil Dahlhauser's on a standard set with a perfect set, you're toast. Go, like I said, go get a drink of water. Save your energy. Again, you don't do your try, but yeah, like don't,
exactly.
you got to find something. Again, what are the games? Does anybody chart that? You know what I never see? I never see what the scores are in rally scoring about what they would have been in the side out scoring. And the thing is this, it's really easy to side out, okay? It's really easy to receive the serve and not give up the point. That's why the game was different back in the day. It's hard to get 15 points. And so that's the structure of the game. It's this, so God, on defense and charting, you're trying to find something. I told you, every time Karch is off the net in transition, he cuts the ball, and I used it once in the finals of San Jose to win the tournament on game point. Okay, won a tournament because I had that knowledge. St. John with a pitter patter. We knew about the pitter patter. He used it at the Cuervo San Diego Open. Pitter pattered. Hoff stuffed that thing so bad you wouldn't believe because he knew it. He got his hand up and just threw it down. One play was the difference between winning and not winning a tournament. We won. It's crazy.
So are you saying if you know a tendency of a player, you don't utilize that knowledge all of the time? You just utilize, because then they might adapt. You just utilize it when it matters.
No. Utilize it whatever you can. What I'm saying is you are working hard, doing something horribly boring in order to get a 1 or 2 point advantage.
Yeah.
Okay? Because games at the elite levels are very close.
Yes.
All right? And if you can get one, my point is, if you can get 1 or 2 points, I was kind of giving ones that are critical in critical times that I utilize to win games. We were down 12-8 and we won 17-15. All right, let me give you an example. All right. I've won 110 professional beach volleyball tournaments. I think I'm 4 or 5. Depends if you count a manual. I don't even keep track anymore of that particular statistic. I did a survey of those 110 events because I kept the records of all, the tournament brackets with the scores. I went back and I calculated all the scores of all the tournaments, 110 wins. All right. And I found this out, which was fascinating. If you change 2 points sometime within the tournament, I would have not won 80 tournaments. Okay. So 75% of the tournaments I played in were decided in a game by 2 points. Okay. So I beat Carl and St. John 17-15. If it was flipped, I would have lost. Would I won the tournament? The difference between the winningest player in the history of the beach volleyball, me, and just kind of some guy you're not even going to invite to play with you, because you're 4 guys, is 2 points a game. 2 points a tournament. 2 points a tournament. All right?
Fascinating.
Soccer games are 1-0. World Cup soccer games are 1-0. Finals. Again, I'll use American modalities. The Patriots, many people know, Belichick and Brady's won 7 Super Bowls. Belichick's won 6. They won 3 Super Bowls by a total of 9 points. 3 points per game, which is nothing in football. At the elite levels, when you're competing against other people, the scores are mind-blowingly close. So 2 points throughout a tournament, I'm not writing books and being on podcasts. It's scary. So when you're charting and you're looking for those 1 or 2 points, right? 1 or 2, 3 points. It's yeah. That's the mentality and that's the philosophy, because your goal is to win, right? The goal is to win, period. You can't win unless you are going to be in a situation where you're going to have to dig deep, overcome adversity. You're not playing well. Your girlfriend broke up with you, so you're feeling sad. The other team's playing good. They're not giving you any breaks, and you got to figure out 1 or 2 points. Definitely. So, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Get your butts in front of the video. Get something to keep you from, dying of boredom, and try to find 1 or 2 points a tournament. Okay.
An exponential curve, and then there's like the reverse exponential curve that just, it's steep in the beginning and then it flattens out.
Yep.
This is how I see volleyball. It's like in the beginning you can gain a lot of skills by not so much work, but the better you get, the more work it takes to get a little bit better.
Let me tell your listeners out there how true coaches' words are. You will never work harder to be good when you are a professional. It is the amount of effort and work you have to put in. Most people think, hey, I'm a pro now. I'm good. No, now is you're not. You could, right. Usually as you move up, you're great in high school. You're great in college. By the time you get to the pros, everybody is phenomenal. I never had to work. I had to call my coaches and I said, look, I need a bet. All right. So I started playing with Karch when I was young, and he dumped me because I wasn't playing well enough. I couldn't last playing with him throughout an entire tournament. My physicalness, but I was young, so I was still developing. But I had to tell my coaches, I said, Bob Alejo and John Smith, I said, I'm not physically capable of performing at a tournament for the entire time. And they said, all right, you ready, kid? You ready? We'll give you the program. Trust us. But only you can do it. Yeah, so you're right, man. You got to watch game film till your eyes bleed looking for 2 points. You got to, here we go. So you're doing the plyometrics, and he's like, look, if you want to get better, you got to raise that box 6 inches. Okay? Go for it. So I'm jumping the boxes, and he's there, and I miss. And not when they're these nice ones, these plyometric boxing where they're soft. These were made out of plywood. He made it in his backyard for the thing. I missed, hit my feet, and I slid my shins down that freaking thing. The scar was this long on the bum, and it hurt like you wouldn't believe. And I'm bleeding, and his blood's going down my sock. And Bob Alejo is laughing his ass off. He goes, well, there's good news and there's bad news. Well, the good news is nobody ever does that twice. The pain's so hard. You'll pay attention and not hit. He goes, the bad news is you still got 3 more sets to do. So let's get up on the box. All right? You wanted it, kid. You wanted it. So yeah, I mean, Coach is right. Coach Alex is right. The harder it's harder. It's the hardest you'll ever work is when you're the best. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really natural. At the lower levels, natural talent kind of dominates. But when you get up there, everybody's good. Everybody's got rock solid mentality. Everybody trains hard. Yeah, I mean, you got to distinguish yourself. So, and I heard this one too. So, a lot of the best NBA players, the basketball players in the United States, they do double days. They don't practice once; they practice twice. Double days. Kobe heard that. He goes, "I'm going to practice 3 times a day." All right. Everybody else is practicing twice a day. I'm practicing 3 times a day. And he was one of the best NBA players of all time. He also had a rule. He goes, no matter what time I get into town, I go shoot hoops. So if it's 2 in the morning, I'm going to find a place to shoot hoops. I will not go to bed when I get into town for it. And he had a string of gyms around that would meet him at 1 in the morning in Minneapolis to open the gym just for Kobe so he could shoot before he went to bed. He'd always be telling guys, if you want to get better, come with me. Okay, we'll drive together. I'm going to I'm gonna go, go to the hotel. It's late. We already played. It's a long flight. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I could tell stories. I could tell stories all day, right? I could tell. You can't keep me quiet here. 3 hours. 3 hours, Alex.
3 hours.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. What else you got?
What else do I got? Let me have a look at this list. We didn't go super far into this yet. I think we have touched it a little bit, but okay, I'll let you decide. My question here is because I read some of your posts and whatnot. Question is how to teach someone to win, because I think it seems like both of us agree that this is a teachable skill, mental skill, and that it's possible to learn this drive to win. I have my own thoughts on this. I can super quickly give a couple pointers. One is from the inner game of tennis. He talks about the wave with his dad. I think it's towards the end of the book. He talks about surfing.
Yep.
With his dad, and how the wave doesn't have feelings. It's just going to give you challenges, and that actually gives you an opportunity to get better as a surfer. And we need to look at ourselves and our opponents in a similar fashion. The opponents are actually giving us a service by being as competitive as possible, because that challenges us, which means that we can get better. And actually, so I like to be friendly with people. I see myself as a pretty nice person. So I had trouble being competitive in the beginning. But when I realized that I'm actually nicer to my opponents when I just try to rip their brains out of their skulls, so to say, that helped me become competitive, because now my niceness, actually, I have twisted my mind so that I'm nice by being super competitive. There was something more that I forgot now. Is this at all aligned with the type of thinking that you're having around this, or
All right, it's not going to surprise anybody.
What?
It's not going to surprise anybody that we're going to go through the same process here that we do with everything else.
Of course we are. That's why
I don't know what else to do. Right?
Okay.
All right. Let's break it down here. All right.
I have my ears open.
The goal is to win, period.
Yes.
All right. Here's a good question. Why is that so hard? Why is the winning mindset so hard for athletes to do? Why isn't everybody doing it? I've written a post that says most athletes aren't trying to win. Most organizations aren't trying to win. Why? There's a simple answer. Okay. When any animal competes against another animal, all right, because we are creatures, a human. I've said it a million times. Sport is purposely designed to get at you as a human being. So when two human beings clash, all right, one is a winner and one is a loser. Psychologically, the person who loses is damaged. Okay, on a physiological level, right? We know this. Your serotonin, when you lose, your serotonin levels drop. Your nervous system gets impacted, right? And it goes back. They like to talk about you know how like when the two rams are hitting each other in the head, or the giraffes are swinging at each other, or the gorillas are going at each other. The winner is damaged physically and psychologically. And that is, humans do not want that. All right. That's what we're overcoming. We're overcoming the damage that occurs when, so many sports are designed to fail you, so that you lose. Okay. So that you're constantly not winning. All right. So it's constantly damaging you. So first thing is just look, you got to understand that. You got to set your mind to win and be like, God, baseball. So you know, when you were talking about the wave with the guy, it's a reframing technique, basically, right? So you're trying. That's the key. You need to do something to reframe the competition so that if you lose, you didn't lose, but you're still trying to win. And that's about as best as I could put it. Because this, right, so in the Bob Rotella's book, Golf is Not a Game of Perfect, the mentality of a golfer is that they believe on every shot they're going to hit it in the hole, every single one. If you don't think you are going to hit the shot, perfect shot, right where you want it, every single time, you will never be a professional golfer. How many times do golfers hit hole-in-ones on 3 pars? Very little. So they are failing at a rate which is unbelievable, and yet they still go out there and try. How can they do it? So, God, it's baseball is the one in America, because so which means every 3 out of 10 times you get on base. Again, your audience isn't American, but that's not the point. The way the framing is if you fail 7 out of 10 times, you are in the Hall of Fame. All right. I told you a ton that the nature of volleyball on the defensive side is that you are hopeless to win because they have all the advantages, and that is not. You have to continue to try, and that's not hard. So, you know, you got to reframe. All right. So I got something. What do you got here? So you gotta sort of like begin to develop confidence. You gotta, like I said, reframe the situation. Let me give you a perfect reframing. So I was a high school kid, and I was down at State Beach where all the pros played, and me and my buddy, my high school buddy, were sitting by the courts watching the #1 players in the world play beach volleyball practice. Right? So it was awesome for us. St. John and Randy, and here's the thing: St. John at the end of the day, because it gets dark late, he would always want to play a last game. He would always want to, but nobody else wanted to play. They were done. I had enough. Of course, St. John's a champion. He always wanted to play a last game. And no one would play with him but John Hanley, another player, and none of the other pros. And he looks at me and my friend. He goes, "Do you guys want to play?" And we're like, I mean, we get to play with the #1 team and the #1 guy in the world. We were so excited. We get out there. We're high school kids, right? We're not that good. And we're playing against 2 pros, the best guy. And we win. We actually won the game, right? So they got 15 points and we got 2 points. So the score was 15-2. We had 2, and we won the game, right? Because we got 2 points off the #1 guy in the world, and we're high school students, all right? If you play a game against Michael Jordan in 101 basketball and you get a shot off, you've won. Jesus, you know. So I always had that sort of that knowing that reframing things is important, and it's kind of I think it's generated from a positivity and a love for the game, like, you know, wanting to overcome things that are hard. So there's not a single tournament I played that I didn't think I could win. The first tournament I played, South Padre with Owen McKibben, we had no chance to win. I would never say, like, I would beat everybody. Oh, I'm going to beat the 3rd seed, the 2nd seed, and the 1st seed and win my first tournament. I'm not saying I'm that, you know, but I always had the sense that if I get lucky and something happens and a break happens, I could win. It's like I was open to the fact that a top seed, you know, when a top seed loses, the whole quote unquote the whole side of the bracket opens up and somebody strange and random gets up there. You know, Kyrgios, what is he ranked? He's not top 10. He's not 60. He won the first set of Wimbledon. All right, like he had a chance to win. So always be prepared. And I knew I wasn't. So, but and again, when you first started the tour, even this tour, you have to, geez, dumbass, you know, whatever, is doing this Elite 16. You can't even get on the tour right now and play in the professional events. So winning might be working your way up. So I didn't even have a partner that was good enough to win at the time when I started. So I had to get better to get a better partner. Furthermore, until you get points, nobody wants to play with you because no one wants the bad seed. So, oh my God. So maybe advancing in ranking, you know, getting a better partner, you know, those are wins. So I'm reframing my experience from the goal is to win. I'm trying to win every game when I turn it, but winning, like I won. Like I get a better partner every so often. I was moving up in the ranking points. That is winning, and that helped me to reframe my experience. The part that could be damaging to me if I thought about it in a different way, because until you win your first tournament, you've lost 100% of your tournaments, and that has an effect on you if you don't learn some of these. Like again, the thing with the wave is a reframing. He reframed the competition to make it a positive. So yeah, so that's a perfect example of that, right? So you know, you have to master self-talk. Okay, how you talk. What do they say? If we talk to our friends the way we talk to ourselves, we wouldn't have any friends, right? So you have to encourage. You have to be positive. You have to be, you know, forward thinking. You got to be like, all right, yeah, well, all right. Let's get back in the gym. Let's work on that. You got to create like powerful affirmations. You know, I'm going to be a professional volleyball. I'm going to win a beach volleyball tournament. You know, continue to talk to yourself. You know, you got to develop confidence the same way you develop your cut shot. Okay. And so the point is that you can train yourself in the winning mindset. You can train. You have to train yourself to be, you know, in mindfulness, which is presence, focus. Like I talked about, you know, learning to recognize when you're losing focus. Okay. Volleyball is tough because it's pretty clear why you lost and how you screwed up. Remember we talked about the strings coming back? Like if you got blocked, why'd you get blocked? What do you need to work on? So did you lose focus? Did you not try hard? Again, you know, you have to, not only is it, you have to be physically strong. So if you want to win, you have to work out and train and get the right training coaches. You have to be mentally prepared, as I said. You have to work on your mental. You have to be emotionally. We've talked a little bit about emotional swapping. You have to learn to generate high levels of energy and excitement. You have to be. Remember what I told you about the Olympics? I was out of balance because I wasn't having any fun. I wasn't energetic. I was like too like, duh, you know. You meet those people all the time. I work hard. It's not about it. It's supposed to be tough. And I don't agree with that. I think so. I guess I don't know if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? That's how I kind of think about it.
I think it does. So one thing that comes up into my mind is this like a small meditation that I've done to myself on tournament days. And basically I like cold showers. So I like to start the day with a cold shower or ice bath if that's available. But regardless, in this shower, then I tell myself that today, regardless of what happens in the result of the game, I will either win or I will learn something. And learning something is gonna take me further on my path towards becoming a better player and human being. And both of these are values that I like. So regardless of what happens today, I will in one way or another win. And then I find like a type of gratitude and meaning with this, which just puts me in a it takes some of my nervousness away in a sense, I would say, and it like gives me focus and it lets me play fully. I think this is what I do. Fuck, I'm actually I've been talking for a few hours now. My mind is starting to slip away a little bit, but there. I think I have some notes somewhere about exactly.
Well, yeah. All right. So
tell me.
This is what I would say. I would say that everything that you said is 100% correct. And it's a perfect place to start building on something that I'm going to share with you. Because it just occurred to me now, listening to you. And I did do this before. I thought about everything that you are describing is a technique you are using to mitigate the damages that come from not winning and having the winning mindset, which is totally correct. I think you should push through that. I think you surrender. Like, just stop with the reframing will help. Like, beginner game of tennis is meant for people who are working their way up the mountaintop. If you want at the elite levels where I was, at a certain point you're like, I don't need to reframe anymore because it's a reframing technique. It's a crutch. It's not a bad crutch, but it's like I'm going to surrender. I'm just going to surrender and just, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm going to try to win. And there's winners and there's people that don't win. It doesn't matter because I'm going to do it. So you really do. There was a point in my life when I completely stopped with the like almost like get back and focus. I stopped yelling at myself or talking to myself like, "What are you doing, Ken?" I did that when the John Finally said, when you when they talk about surrendering, you just surrender it all and accept who you are, right? And then you reach a level. I think that's what they're talking about when they talk like with Zen Buddhism. Those higher levels that they're talking about, nirvana. Okay, as you're moving towards that thing, or what the Christian mystics talked about, or what the religious people, where you get to that point where it just you rise out of these little tricks you're trying to do to convince your brain that you didn't really lose or that it was a good thing to do, which are all good. They're all correct. I do agree, and maybe you sometimes bounce down and have to come back up, but yeah, and I wouldn't even know how to. I'm not a coach. I wouldn't know how to train it, but that's where I was when I was playing. You know what? It mattered so much to me that I wanted to win, but there wasn't any other thing. Like at the end of the tournament, I either won or I didn't. That didn't change how I felt. Didn't change what I thought. Didn't change what I was going to try to do next time. It just seemed to just like open. So I'm playing in Brazil, and it's hot as heck, and it's the World Championships, and I'm with Adam Johnson. We're playing against Jose Loyola and Angelino, and I've stopped sweating. It's the second game because they decided to serve me, and I'm serving and blocking every time, and I'm dying, and it's hot, and it's a good strategy because it'll work, even though I would have been the better partner. And I stopped sweating, and the countdown has come. At one point, I'm going to jump and I'm not going to be able to land. I'm going to cramp. I'm going to dive for ball and I won't be able to get up. You push yourself to such levels of exhaustion, like you're going on the ambulance because your body's going to seize up. And I was there and I go, Adam, I stopped sweating. And he's like, what? I go, yeah, I've stopped sweating. He goes, oh, okay. And we went out there and there wasn't a single thought in my mind that I am going to keep charging as hard as I can after every single ball. You know what? My body seizes up and I cramp. That's it. There's nothing I can do about it. I ain't gonna. If I ease up, I ain't gonna win. So there's only one option: to go for it. Right? Go for it. Seize up, body. I don't care. I'm not gonna think about it. People would be like, "Oh, you might hurt your hospital." Whatever. I remember I was climbing Kilimanjaro in 2000 after I'd done playing, and I'm climbing the mountain. It's like the last day of climbing Kilimanjaro. It's just under 20,000 feet. I couldn't figure out what it is kilometers, but it's high. It's the third highest mountain, but it's one of the highest mountains you can actually just walk. It's just a long hike. And the last day is a 2-mile hike that takes you 8 hours to get to the top. So it takes you 8 hours to walk 2 miles because there's no oxygen. There's nothing going on, and you're just walking up the scree, and you just take 1 step and 2 steps, and you stop. And you take 1 step, and your oxygen probably. And I wanted to stop, so we had a guide, but I couldn't remember the guide's name. And I go, then I go, and I can't remember my name. All right, and I'm like, I'm feeling terrible, and I'm feeling miserable. And I said, you know what? I just don't care if I die. I'm not quitting and I'm not stopping. I'm walking up the mountain. I don't care if I die. Instantly, something in my brain snapped. I was tired. I had to stop every 2 steps. All the nausea, all the misery, all the pain, gone. Gone. The moment I surrendered, the transformation was to me stunning. I'm like, because that's what I did when I played. I'm going for it. I'm going for the serve. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for the win. Yeah, it's just that it's so right. Try it next time when you're playing, when you're trying to reframe it. Just say I'm not gonna frame. Just go play and go try to win. Try it. I guess would be so. Maybe you need to get to a level with these techniques we talked about, and these reframing techniques and these thoughts which allows you to then surrender and then go for it. I guess that's about the only way I can think about it.
That's super interesting. The thing that when I listen to you, the thing that I can sort of relate to is I have taken some risky decisions with my life, like certain decisions about what I'm gonna do with work and career, and do or not do whatever, that has been very, very fucking scary. Like I just know that if I fuck this up, then I'm gonna be fucked up for real, and that might be my life. But I still want to do it because I really want to do it. And this is the closest I can relate to this surrendering feeling. It's just like, I'm just gonna fucking go for it. I live once. I literally just live once. I have to try, and then I do it. And usually magic starts happening after you take those decisions.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't it? It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing.
It is when you're. That's my experience. When you risk your life, life starts happening. Like it's things fucking get solved.
You don't care if you're dying. What are you nervous about? What are you fearful about? Oh, you surrendered. Yeah, all right. Yeah, and I think.
But I can't say that I've.
Don't try this at home, people. People, do not try. We are professionals. We're professional knuckleheads who say, "I don't care if I die because I want to walk up a mountain." Don't listen to us.
This is where I'm gonna get emails afterwards of people fucking up their lives and whatnot. I don't know if I've had that within a game of volleyball, so I'm looking forward to maybe having that same type of magic happen in a game of volleyball if I ever am lucky enough to have that experience. I have had games of volleyball where I feel it's like there's audience. I have no idea what they're doing. It's like I'm very zoomed into the game, and another technique for me to be competitive is, I have this saying, like, keep beating whoever is already laying down. Like I have to have zero regards for the opponent's feelings, because naturally I'm a person that cares about other people. But for me to get competitive, I need to completely shut that down. And for me, it doesn't sound nice, but for me, the what I'm telling myself is to keep kicking on whoever's already laying on down on the ground, bloody and bleeding.
Okay, right.
So even and that, because I used to lose a lot of games where I would be ahead, because as soon as I get ahead, I sort of relax in my game, and then they come back and then they beat me. So my way to figure that out was to regardless of what this point is, even if I'm 5 points up, 10 points up, I need to keep kicking their ass. I don't know if that's related to this or not, but I'm just blathering away.
No. Look, when I hear what you're saying, it's the same. I hear the same thing in the discussion we just talked about. All right. What is happening is I want to. There's two things you can be. I want to kick their ass, or they're. You can even be like, these people aren't as good as me. I'm better than them. Like, what you're doing. This is why the sports gene book is good. What you are doing is that emotion, which is being generated in your brain, is creating chemical changes in you. If you want to kill somebody or hurt somebody, you're going to get a rush of certain chemicals because your body has to be ready to combat and battle, right? What you're talking about is trying to artificially generate that through a thought process, which is, I want to hurt my opponent, kick him when he's down. You could push through that too. That's not a surrender thing, but you just say, you know what? How can I get those chemicals flowing through my brain? How can I get there without the point is, having those thoughts about your opponents will help you. You can get there and get better by just eliminating that middle step, just going to that spot where you're generating that like come on, like you don't have to have that thought like, I want to kick his ass. Like, You're just like, I'm going in there fearless. I'm going in there ferocious. God, Mike Tyson, the very famous boxer, world champion at 19, one of the youngest ones, they would psychologically train him. And the way it talks about, I am fearless. I got the best right hand. No one's going to stop my right hand. It wasn't like the sports was never like, you're going to kill your opponent. You're going to hurt your opponent. It was almost like, I'm going out there. I'm going to jump high. I'm going to hit hard. I'm going to hit open. So yeah, that was his psychology. But again, if you read the sports gene, you'll clearly see it's like the thought is stimulating a chemical reaction in your brain, which is having a physiological change. And I think what the yogis are talking about, or the Zen masters, or the Christian super mystics, was that you're just bypassing that stage and just going straight to dumping chemicals in your brain, right? Without the thought. You've trained how to do that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, did I understand you right? Because just play to your maximum, in a sense. And would that make
understand that the thought you generated to get to the state that increases your ability to play volleyball better, you can just get there straight away. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you can go beyond, you can keep pushing. So like you can kill your opponent and kick him when there's down, but where do you go from there? Where do you go? You can't kill him twice, and he's already down. So that's going to limit you in your ability to continue to, God, like, I just remember when I was playing, all right, so, God, the tournaments are so boring. Oh, my God, they're the worst because first I would read, or I'd read and stuff, like, but I felt like my brain was getting a little soft, like I wasn't as sharp, so I wouldn't read, and I kind of just sat there. And the worst thing you can do when you're playing tournaments is watch you do not want to watch other games because it's tiring. Like, you get into the game like a fan, and again, the winner and losing is 2 points per tournament, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just sit there, and I just be like, oh my God, like I just be like, all right, waiting. But when that game came, oh my God, it was almost like, this is where I was born to be. This is where I was born to. I was so excited, so happy. I wanted to play so well. I wanted to be so pumped up. I wanted to be so positive. I knew what the other team was going to do. I had my game plan. Let's come on, like people are like, do you ever get nervous when you play? And I'm like, no, this is where I want to be. I want to be in championships. I want to be in taekwondo. I want to be the one who gets the serve. The worst thing about that quarterfinal match, which we documented in our book, was they were serving Karch and he was making a mistake. I couldn't get in the game. I wanted to be in the game. If we're going to lose, it's going to be me, right? I wanted to be. So yeah. So see how I'm sort of generating this even right here as you're sitting there, I'm getting excited. Imagine I was a young kid and it's going crazy. So the point is you're trying to get to that state that you got to by thinking those thoughts that, didn't like. Sure, if you want to go kill people and think like that, they're horrible, that'll get you there. I think it'll get you there better if you just focus on yourself, surrendering and pushing through, and even trying to look, how do I get higher? How do I get more excited about this game? How do I get more energetic? How can I get more, like, have more fun? Okay, like the little voice inside me go, like, how can you just make this such an incredibly high? This is what's going on here. So see how I'm trying to generating this emotional in myself. I'm getting excited. I'm getting struck. I can even feel my muscles. I can feel myself. I just want to go out and go beat a volleyball onto the ground, right? So okay. Let me kind of, then I'm going to I got a state change. So what I was demonstrating there, it's going to take a second. I almost had a heart attack live on your show. Ken Steffes dies on Alex's podcast. First gold medalist. You killed me. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So now what I just did there, for anybody who's watching, I didn't mean to. It was just natural. I state changed. I started making a joke and laughing. That brought me down from this heightened state. So I made a joke, started laughing, you started laughing. Okay, and now I'm back in a better place now. So rewind this tape right now, go back and watch how I began to get myself into a heightened state that would have been great for volleyball. Then see how I state changed into laughing, this and that. And now we're back to having our normal conversation. It was, I didn't mean to do that. We didn't plan it, obviously. I just started thinking, like, what would I have done back in the day? And that's what I would have done live.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. One thing that's in my mind right now is actually this meditation that I do before a competition. So at this point in my life, I have, for various reasons, pandemic and others, I haven't played too many tournaments recently. It was actually, and the last tournament I played, I do think I didn't do this meditation, so I forgot about it. And before that, it was a long time since I played a tournament. But I think one of the thought processes was also that I know that I can, if I get caught up in thoughts, then I get out of that excited state, which helps me play. So the goal is basically to recognize that thoughts will come up today, and I will catch them. And since I will catch them, I will play better today, and I will get better at catching thoughts, which makes me into a better player and human being. Something among, I need to reread the Inner Game of Tennis, because it was from, I think it was from reading that book that I came up with this type of meditation or mantra that I tell myself in the morning. Whatever. I think. Thanks for sharing. I need to think more about this, and I need to find, if I can find my notes about what my pre-tournament meditation was, and see if I should tweak that or anything.
You could be able to answer your own question. From my end, I keep hearing the same question repeated over and over. Right?
Yeah.
What's the technique to do X? And I'm like, move through the technique and just get to X. All right. Let me tell you. Let me demonstrate. Here's a story. Again, it's American.
Had all of your life.
What?
Was this a capability you had all of your life?
I have come to the conclusion now at 54 that it is a light switch that you can turn on and off. It's a choice you make. Winning is a choice. It's a choice you choose to make. When I told you, like, when I said I was climbing Kilimanjaro and I didn't care if I died, and that opened everything up. I can give another story in a yoga class. It's not the point. The point is, if you look at all the stories, they all have the same thing. There's a surrender. There's a moving through. There's a, I'm not going to try for a technique. All right. So the thing with your meditation, what are you trying to accomplish? Can you get there directly? That's the bottom line. And can you get there faster? Right? Emotional, swapping, emotional ramping. Does that make? Did we explain that? Emotional swapping means going from one emotional state to another and then ramping that up. So what are you trying to achieve when you're meditating? What do you want to do? Like, all right, is there a direct path there? Just do it. Like, so there's always, I can't necessarily tell you specifically what you're trying to accomplish with your meditation and what the light switch would be to get you from here to there, but I do know it exists. Right, I absolutely know it exists. All right, so there's a famous scene in American football, okay, when the San Francisco 49ers, the great quarterback Joe Montana. You don't have to know about football, but it's at the end of the game. They have a really long way to go, and if they don't score, they lose the Super Bowl, the biggest game of their life, and it's a timeout. So everyone's stopped, and there's 11 guys in the team, right, and they're all huffing and puffing. Come on, guys. We have 1 minute left. We got to drive. Come on. And Joe Montana comes in the huddle, and guys are sweating. They're all looking at him because he's the leader, right? He's the leader. And he goes to the center, and he looks in the crowd, and he goes, the biggest game, Super Bowl. They've never won one. It's considered. It's called the Drive. It's called It's one of the most amazing comebacks in the history of history of football. And Joe Montana looks in the crowd and he goes, is that John Candy, the actor, the famous actor? He didn't say that, but there's a famous actor named John Candy who did comedies at the time. He looks at the crowd and goes, hey, is that John Candy in the stands? And like the guy's like, Joe, we're in the Super Bowl. Like, what are you looking at the crowd? What are you looking at celebrities in the crowd? He goes, yeah, that is John Candy. Hey, he's at the Super Bowl. All right, guys, here's the play we're going to run. And literally, like the whole team was like if he's looking at celebrities in the middle of the thing, wow. Right. So He certainly had a mentality that he could switch on and off that he utilized in that area. And so any question you ask me it's the same answer. What are you trying to accomplish? And is there a way to get? I know there's a way to get there by just flipping a switch, but certainly what you're doing helps. Does that make sense? Meditation helps. You should do it, but you can figure out a way to just bypass it and go straight to whatever you're trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
But again, since I'm not you, now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking it can't be that easy because it's got to be personal. You know what I'm saying? So you described a couple ways you got through it into a flow state or a zone. I described a couple ways. We had a couple together, like, oh, I don't care about my health or personal. I think I gotta believe it's personal to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because of their person, like I could care less what my opponents thought of me. Like you care, like if I'm up, I want to beat the crap out of them. Like I had no thoughts of like my opponents, but you did. That's just fine. So you're different than I am, and everybody's different. So the switch has to be in a separate place for everybody, and flipping it's got to be different for everybody. And I think that's why we don't have an answer that we can go to a book to read to find out how to do meditation without meditation. Does that make sense? I guess that's the best I can get at it. So my advice to you and everybody out there, do this yourself. You're meditating before a game. What are you trying to do? Try to experiment with getting there without the meditation for yourself. And everybody, like, in a sense, like all the people listening, it's going to be personal to you, but it is going to be a switch, I believe, that you have to find. And maybe that's the point. The point of the journey is for you to find in yourself you. Okay. And that would be what I would say is everyone talks about it as a path and climbing the mountain. And I think that's what they're talking about. If it was something that everybody had, we'd have found it by now and know about it. So it's got to be something personal, and probably can't even be something you can coach. I can coach you to tell you that there's a switch there. You got you got to find it, Alex, and all the people everyone listening out there. Like you got to find it because it's you, and only you knows you. And I think that's the point of sport. Like that's what it's trying to teach us. That's why it's great. That's why we watch it. That's why you cheer. That's why we play. Because we're trying to find that within ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Cool. Thanks for sharing. There is a thought, so I'm purely speculating now because the most amazing thing, if this podcast episode is amazing so far, it's really fucking good. But if we could today build this textbook answer, how amazing would that be? No, no.
Yeah, maybe God, or if you believe in evolution, maybe they didn't design it that way. Maybe they designed us to make the journey hard and challenging. But I think, God, what's that book, The Alchemist? I think that's what The Alchemist was talking about too. I think like when you look at any religion, I think they have it at source. The journey is hard, it's challenging, but then something happens. It's just a switch. Yeah, So I can tell you that. What do they call it? Your personal. What do they call it? Did you read the book The Alchemist?
Yeah.
There's a specific word he uses. Your personal, not personal journey, but there's some word he uses which is beautiful. So yeah, I don't. And you go and you push, you hard, you work, and you're meditating, and you're generating. I don't want to be that guy who wants to kill his opponents, but I guess I want to because I want again. The goal is to win. Period.
Yeah.
Then you try that. You're like, all right, that's not it because that's not me. So, but there's got to be there. The switch is there, and only you can find it. It's your journey. It's your journey. I think that's the way it's designed. I think that's the way. Look, I'm a religious person, and I believe in God, and I think that is the point. Like he is trying to tell you that to find, to meet him there, or to find yourself, however it doesn't, like I've studied other religions too, like they're mostly the same as a certain, that's the point. Like it's you, man. It's your journey. I can't coach you. I can get you there. I can get you some techniques. I can give you some tools, but at the end of the day, it's you. You. And you got to have that courage. You got to have that fearlessness. You got to have that excitement. You got to have that energy, you know? You got to push through the pain. You got to push through the suffering to find it. And it'll be there. And you'll be like I said, all those techniques and things you use and all these reframings, and I read the Inner Game of Tennis and I practiced all of them. At a certain point in my career, I didn't do any of them. I didn't need them. Didn't need to. I found the switch.
Yeah. Let me throw out one more theory here. So far, I think we agree that when you decided on that hike to, was it Kilimanjaro, that you don't care if you die, then this switch flipped.
Yes.
So you were afraid of dying, and then you let go of that. You surrendered to the fear.
No. My body was trying to get me to stop climbing Kilimanjaro by giving pain. I don't feel fear. It was pain. It was nausea. I didn't want to go on. I'm like, God, this is stupid. Freaking climbing a mountain. Well, I just go down to the can. Who cares? Like, those were the thoughts that were going through my brain that instantly shut off. My body, all right, remember the parts in your body? This part wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, so I could tell everybody I climbed Kilimanjaro. I don't even know why, right? Why do you climb a mountain? Because it's there. But the point is, this part of my body was like, what the hell are you doing? It's stupid. It's dangerous. What the hell? You don't need to be here. Go back down and go to the safari. Look at the lions and the giraffes and the zebras. Like, this is dumb. Like, so that part is fighting with this part, and so that's what went away. That entire, you know, and it just went away, and I just started walking. I felt great. I felt open. I was breathing hard and I had to stop every once in a while. But all the thoughts, all the negativity, all the misery, all this was gone, and it was beautiful and enjoyable. It was hard, but it was beautiful. Yeah, that's. I had the same thing in this yoga class. It was hot yoga. I was trying to do this pose. I was like, I'm gonna pass out. I'm literally gonna pass out, and I'm miserable. And I said, you know what? One day I just said, all right, you know what? I don't care if I pass out, but I got to go in the corner so I don't land on the little tiny yoga chick that's next to me. So I get in the corner and make sure that nobody's around, because I'm going to do something. I'm going to pass out, and it's hot, and I don't think I was going to die, but everyone's going to freak out. I'm big, and they'll never get me out of here. So it's going to be embarrassing too. And when I go back, I'm like, all right, here we go. My body's going, you're passing out. You're passing out. I said, I don't care. Boom! It just opened up. No problems whatsoever. Perfectly clear. Didn't feel a thing. And the reason why I describe these things is because I had this in sports, because I had developed it. This is external to these in areas where I don't want to be a yoga superstar, or I'd probably have learned that about myself earlier, but I'm just telling you that that's why I believe it's a light switch, because I have experienced it outside of volleyball, Kilimanjaro, the yoga class. It is, if you knew what I was talking about, you'd be like, did it here, did it there too. Like, if you have experience, you know it just clicks. And if you haven't, you might have difficulty believing it is that dramatic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So can I summarize that with saying that there is physical discomfort in part of your body that you ignore, and that flips the switch?
No. Remember, the physical discomfort is a lie. It's not true.
Yes. So
human beings have a problem with reality because we hallucinate all the time. We think we actually can see the truth. We can't. It's wrong. It's not actually there. I don't know what to say. You just realize the switch goes, it's not real. What do you mean not real? You're feeling it. You're experiencing it. All right. Well, it's not real. So stop. This part of you just almost like.
But before the flip switches, it feels real.
You would. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what we know about cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias, human beings are walking around with these thoughts. I don't care. Like, are you a vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer? Do you believe it's the pandemic we have to shut down, or is it a hoax? Trump or no Trump? People are all over the map when it comes to, and again, there's a purpose for these things. It's pretty stupid to die on Kilimanjaro. All right, that your body is protecting you. Anxiety is trying to get you to motivate. Anxiety or nervousness is a state change. But you just it's hard. The hardest thing for a human being to do is to realize that they're not only wrong, that their conception of reality is incorrect. Okay, like you've been getting it and do it. You're getting it wrong. Like I was online the other day and I'm going back and forth with somebody and I'm attempting to point out to him, and this is in writing. I go, do you not see that you are 100% categorically wrong? And he engaged in all these things, cognitive dissonance. He wheeled out. I went to business school too, so we learned all persuasion. So when you learn, you see how people communicate, and that's hard. Like you just like, God, I've just not been getting it my whole life in a sense. I just because we're all sure, we all think we know. Like part of the reason when you brought me on, you go, I've never heard anything, and all these coaches and they disagree with you. I'm like, yeah. Well, one of us is wrong, right? One of us is walking, right? It's called two movies on one screen. That guy we talked about with the line shot, he's right or I'm right, but we both can't be right because we both are on opposite sides. So who's seeing reality correctly? Mm-hmm. Who's living in the truth is the bottom line. And so I think that's it. It's all like I think the newest version for the young kids is we're living in a simulation, and you can learn to hack the computer code, like the Matrix, literally. Like I think that's why that movie, The Matrix, why this concept of the simulation, we're living in a simulation, takes hold because it's down that line. It used to be religion, right? Now it's that sort of like, Elon Musk is like on Joe Rogan saying, no, of course we're a simulation. It's a computer program controlled by other people, because that's getting at it. You can hack your own software code and get it to do what you want to do. I know it. I've experienced it. I've done it. I can't tell you how to do it because you're you.
Yeah.
Damn, it's getting deep.
This is getting deep. Yeah. I'll just end this with what I'm gonna contemplate further myself, at least, and so this, I know I'm gonna be thinking about this a lot and seeing where I end up. But there's a little theory in my mind which says, okay, so we are going through an illusion.
Yes.
So to get to this flip switch state, or whatever we should call it. So for example, I had fear about what would happen with my future if I take certain decisions. I sort of looked through that illusion of that fear, maybe, and that's when I have experienced, I think, the closest to what you're describing. You had an illusion of being tired in your muscles, I think, when you walked Kilimanjaro, and you sort of looked through that illusion and things. So maybe it's about finding what is your illusion, and maybe that's what is the individual part of this, because maybe we all have different illusions that we need to go through.
because we're all unique. Everyone's got a thumbprint which is completely different. Everyone is unique. They call it Imago Dei, in the image of God, right? Perfectly, not not made perfectly, but perfectly made, and that's it, and that's that. Yeah, for sure. That's why at the end of the day, you, the athlete, are out there. No coaching, no this. It's you, man. I wish I could tell you what it was specifically you or you, but you're gonna have to find that switch.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe that more.
That's cool.
Which just frustrates all the coaches because they want to find the switch and get their players to switch so they can get to right. And that's kind of right. That's good. That's what your coaches are trying to do. Get us to flip that. You know, come on, you guys, you knuckleheads. How did you not see that?
Yeah.
So again, look how beautiful. And I've never thought about this. I said this many times. Look how beautiful that makes the coaching relationship. The coach is the one who's the guide for the person's almost spiritual journey towards finding the switch, like or like with the alchemist, or you're the one who's trying to point out where the software code you can hack to get out of life with whatever you want. That's beautiful. Thank God for coaches. You guys are awesome. You know that you guys take it upon yourselves to help others to find that switch.
Yeah. It's yeah. I don't know. I'm a little bit speechless, but
well, we're almost on 4 hours, and I got to go to dinner soon here.
Yeah.
And you probably do you go to bed now, or are you awake? Or are you going to bed soon?
I'm going to bed after this. Yeah. It's let's see what time. It's 4 a.m. for me. But yeah. Okay. I think that is a conversation I will remember for a long time in my life and contemplate a lot in the future. I hope the listeners will also. Let's maybe we should get towards the end. So in the end, I have 3 questions for you, and 2 of them are gonna be really quick. So I'll start with the one that could become longer first, and it's a simple question. I think I stole this from Travis, your co-author, and the Sandcast podcast. Is there anything you wish we would have talked about that we haven't?
No, I mean I think we covered no, because
have you talked enough about the book? I want,
There we go. Amazon. Kings of Summer. There you go. Kings of Summer, The Rise of Beach Volleyball. Buy it. Put a nice notice for us on Amazon. Yes, and buy it for your friend, buy all the volleyball people.
And I will put links in the description for the show note to this book and every other book that we have discussed during the show.
Yeah. So no, I think I mean, I believe I've expressed how I view volleyball, the approach. Yeah, for sure.
You have.
You can go on forever on tiny things. I put the thumb right, but yeah, it's the philosophy. I think your listeners would maybe most be interested. Yeah, I think we did a good job here.
Yeah.
And I learned a bunch. I learned some stuff today too that I'd never learned because I've never verbally had to express it. I just did it.
That's good.
So thank you too.
That's amazing. That's actually part of the reason I coach, because I feel like I learned the sport better by trying to teach it to people. So this effect that you're just talking about, I experienced. So I think I can become a better player by coaching.
My dad did that. My dad liked to coach track too. He thought he'd be a better runner. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, but there's nothing in your mind that you're like, I really wish to talk about this also.
No, we're good. Yeah, no.
Okay. Awesome. Actually, yeah, there was one little. Have you ever been on a beach volleyball podcast? I tried to do research on you, and I didn't find you on any podcasts. I searched for Ken Steffes podcast. Didn't.
Yeah, you're. I did Gabby Reese last week, but she hasn't posted, and you're pretty much,
Okay.
You'll if you get it up, you'll be the first.
I'll try to be quick.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's amazing. Second last question is, now that you know what it's like to be on the Learn Beach Volleyball Fast podcast,
Mm-hmm.
Who would you enjoy listening to if you could choose who I would interview? What interview would you want to listen to?
Oh, God, it was, first of all, I'd like to listen to, the top players. Just the only problem is with players, and I even thought this myself. It's difficult for us to articulate what our experiences are, what we're going through, because you're young and you don't have the words. But um, who would I want to see about volleyball? God, well, I like business. So if you bring somebody up who's talked about how weak the tour is, what's going on, why they refuse to actually make a decent volleyball tournament with some money for the players. They've done it twice and it's easy to do, and why they don't do it. Let me think here. There's been some advances. There's been a lot of advances in, like I said, like the sort of how the brain works and the dopamine and right. So what I would like, sports psychology is in its infancy. It's like, imagine training in the 1970s, what we know then. Like, it would be interesting to hear someone who is moving sports psychology in the right direction, because currently they're kind of more, they're like psychologists who deal with athletes, and they're more like therapists than they are. We've got the research now. The sports gene will tell you. The sports gene will tell you what's going on in your brain, but no one has been. I haven't read books like we were talking about here, how to get those things happen in your brain. I don't know, is anybody doing that in this world of volleyball? Is anybody talking about that? Survey of some of the volleyball sports psychologists that are working with the athletes. Well, the problem is you got to find someone who's successful. Someone who took. Anyway.
Yeah. There's I still haven't read his book. There's this guy called Steven Kotler that talks about, like, has done research about like states of mind of like hyper performance.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, maybe this is so he said that extreme sports athletes that do sports where there is physical risk more often experience these states of mind. Which maybe is about, again, maybe about having that illusion and going through it. Possibly. Yeah.
So, yeah. Who else? So, what's funny? I'll just let this out. Like, I thought about it again. I'm like, I actually said, what kind of podcast do you actually listen to? So I took your question. Like, well, what I listen to a lot are U.S. Navy SEALs. Okay, Special Operations Forces. And what I'm always fascinated is by their Hell Week, where they don't let them sleep for 6 days. They do awful, horrible things to them. And only the ones who willing to put up with it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, only guys who have the ability to throw that switch, get rid of the central governors here. So, and what they do the most awful things to them. If you can't even imagine the most degrading, humiliating, hurtful. They're punching them, breaking their noses. They're like doing weird guy things where nobody's watching, and yet they transform some normal person into someone who just walk into the face of fire, right? So, I mean, so the guy when they went into the Obama compound to go get, or not Obama, Osama bin Laden compound, the first guy in grabbed two people and was sure they had been told they had vests on that were going to blow. And he grabbed them and pushed them against the wall so that when they blew up, he would absorb the impact to save his buddies and to allow the mission to go forward. What is the mindset of a person who's running into the room, not knowing whether there's it, but I'm assuming they have it, so I'm going to wrap myself up on it. And what I'm because I'm fascinated, it's like how they got from here to there. So I listen to that a lot. Mm-hmm. And because that's what I'm interested in. So if there was somebody who
David Steele, David Goggins is one of those, right?
I listen to Mike Ritlin. He's Mic Drop. Andy Stumpf with his Cleared Hot podcast. Jocko Willink, is one. He's good, and that they certainly have a training program to change the mindset of human beings in the most in extreme fashion, the most extreme at all, where you'll jump on a grenade. All right, you ready? All right, Alex, when we hit the room, your job is to get blown up so that we can get the mission done. You're like, okay, let's go. Yeah. They don't have a second thought. Yeah, like they all thought. I read it. Ready? I read a story. Because they can't tell you the really crazy stuff they do. But I read the story where the missions they get tasked with are so crazy that they send flowers to their wives about the time they think they're not coming back. That's the missions they know they're going on. That they're sending flowers to their wives. Hi, sorry, honey. Love you, I'm not coming home. And again, sports is different, but there like I said, because I'm just obsessed, and it's a passion of mine, and I'm fascinated by that change in people. They're just normal because they always start out. They're from somewhere. They're from a small town. Some got in trouble, some didn't. Some are athletes, some weren't. And they all end up in this place. So we know we can train people. We know we can get them there.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, I have listened to a little bit of interviews like that, but should probably do more.
Yeah. Anyway, so
okay. My last question is just about contact info, but I also did have, when we chatted before, and I mentioned when we chatted that I would ask you about this. So here's what I wrote down. When I asked while chatting about what you think should be done to grow the sport, you replied, it has already been done both in the US and FIVB. They only have to follow the model that was successful, which they're not.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Where's my piece of paper? Did I write that down there?
What's the model? Pay the players more?
So
we can cut this out if you
no,
don't
they're right. So it will never change. What is the goal? All right. So what do you want to accomplish? I can get you a beach volleyball tournament that's people watching. It's money because we've done it. Okay, we've done it, and they don't want to do that. And the question is why. So like if I was to sit there with Volley World, I don't think I couldn't create a tour that's really fun that a lot of fans go to that has a lot of money for the athletes and get them what they want. So the problem is the goals. So, all right. First of all, it's real simple. You must have a beach volleyball tournament. All right. What does that mean? That means anybody can play. All right. The mistake of Volley World with the Elite 16 is that they don't understand sport at a deep level, human level. Right. You're collecting the world's greatest at beach volleyball athletes and letting them pound on each other to see who's the best, which means it's got to be open to all. You can't restrict it. It's ridiculous. There's not a single sport around that does that. I can walk up to Manchester United tomorrow. If I'm good enough, I'm playing. They're putting me on the team. I can't go into the volleyball tournament and prove the same thing. It's ridiculous. So first thing, you have a tournament. Is there problems? Of course. Fix them. Solve them. Second thing is that the nature of sport is that they're difficult to make money. If they made money, you'd have a lot of them, right? The problem with the beach volleyball tournament with everything is they don't make money, or they're hard to make money, and you have a major problem to solve. So one of the things you do is the successful model in America when the AVP had $4.5 million in prize money, and we had all those fans I told you, and the FIVB tour was huge too. Like the FIVB tour had tons of prize money. They were cities fighting over to hold events. They wanted to hold events. They wanted to hold big events. Yeah, whatever the minimum prize money, we don't care. All right, Leonard Armato put on a tournament in the United States. It was $500,000. FIVB is like, you got to have $500,000. It's like, I'm not going to do a tournament for $500,000. I got to do a tournament for $1 million. Like, what? Oh, okay, $1 million, right? And the reason is because you have local promoters. All right, you want to put on a tournament in a city, and you want it. Your whole goal is to make it successful. How do you make it successful? The current thinking of Volley World is, how do I get money out of these people? You got to pay me a fee. Why? What's your goal? Is your goal like, why am I paying you $1 million? Because you're giving me the right to put on a volleyball tournament? What are you going to do with the money? You're going to you're going to give that $1 million to the athletes? What are you going to do with the money? Volley World's going to take it. CVC is going to take it. Well, see my point? How easy it is? Like, why would it like? Wait, I thought you wanted me to put on a tournament that a lot of people come to, that a lot of people want to watch, that gets prize money athletes. Is that your goal? Because clearly it's not. Because that makes no sense. It makes no sense to charge them money. As a matter of fact, FIVB probably's got to put in money. FIVB gets a lot of money from the IOC for the Olympics. Well, they're supposed to develop beach volleyball. Got it. Well, so you need to find partners that look. If you want someone to help you, did you watch the tournament around the World Championships
this year?
Yeah.
This year I didn't watch it too much.
All right, so everybody go and look at those recaps and look at day 6, 7, 8. Like the finals had an okay crowd. Everywhere else, it's completely empty.
Yeah.
100%. There's nobody in the stands. There's nobody watching the inner courts. What are you doing? Is my point. Clearly, there's not somebody who's got an interest and a desire to get people there. That's where they're messing up. So you need a local promoter. You need a local person. You have to go find a group of hustlers that you can convince to put on a beach volleyball tournament in a city. And if your relationship with them is like, you need us, you're not, nobody's going to show up and do that for you. But if you're like, please, would you please put on a tournament? When the tour in the AVP was large, we had a local promoter, the Miller distributor. When the FIVB was kicking butt, Ruben Acosta was like, yeah, we want you to do so well, have such a good tournament, make money, have fun, that you want to do it again. And it's that attitude that I don't necessarily see and read when I'm looking at it. And then I wonder why nobody goes to the tournament, nobody comes, and why they don't have many tournaments, right? So then what FIVB does is they sell the meta level. Again, I went to business school at Stanford, so they sell the tour and the title, and then they sell the television package, right? What happened? Right, this is the FIVB tour was like this, and then it went like this, and they're trying to regrow it. Why did it go from here to there? Bottom line is, somebody convinced the FIVB that if they excluded more categories of sponsorship categories, FIVB would make more money, and they couldn't sell them. And because they excluded them, the local tournaments, the local promoters couldn't make their tournaments work. So everyone's like, no, I don't want to do a tournament anymore. So before, when everybody wanted a tournament, cities were fighting, and actually the tour is so European heavy that the Asia was like, we need tournaments. And they're like, okay, we'll give you one, China. And China's like, one, we have 1 billion plus people. We need 4 tournaments. And everyone wanted a tournament. It's crazy. And then it went to like, nobody wants to tournament anymore. Well, it's because they excluded the categories. They weren't trying to develop and make money. And that was a specific case. Sinj and I talked to him because I talked to him last month. I said, why did the FIVB go down when it was so hot? He goes, they wanted to exclude sponsorship categories. I'm like, why? He goes, someone convinced them they can make money. I'm like, well, is that the goal? Is the FIVB's goal to make money on the volleyball tournaments? Or is that, tell me, or not? That's all I need to hear. I'll tell you whether they're successful. All right. And the reason why FIVB, by the way, you sell these titles, you give it to the players. That's where the prize money came from. So Ruben Acosta helped the local people, promoters, get their tournaments up and running to the point where they had loved it and had fun. Because again, only the local guy knows where to get the revenue from, how to drive revenue in the local space. You can't get that from Lausanne, Switzerland, or wherever Finn Taylor is. So they sell just the top because they're the only ones who could sell the TV package. God, there's just so many easy ways to do it. Like, okay, I guess I didn't print out my. I didn't. Let me see if there's anything else I missed. I don't think I printed out my my thing here. That doesn't come on my screen, does it? All right. Yeah, there you are there too. Where am I here? And then we'll talk about more generally. Yeah. Hold on here. Yeah, I'm just 4 hours tired.
You know, you're I'm gonna, regardless of if we stop now within 2 minutes or a little bit more, I'm gonna say that you have what's the word when you do as much as someone else, like you tangent? No, I don't know.
What?
I just know the Swedish word for this shit. Anyway, Steve Anderson has the record of a 4.5 hour podcast on my podcast. I think you're
4:11. Jeez. All right. But the bottom line is, like everything, it's sort of like, I guess, I can't recall this stuff. 4 hours. I've never done this in my life. How funny. I guess, hey, welcome to the internet age. Where'd you go here? Where? Oh wait, no, you're over here. You're on Skype. Yeah, see, I'm like on Kilimanjaro right now. Somebody please. I don't care if I die. I'm not going to die on your podcast. You know?
Well,
so all right.
Now,
so one last thing, where again, this is no criticism of the FIVB. It is no criticism of Finn Taylor. It is no criticism of the bad business model that's barely going to work. They're going to limp along. It's literally, if you were to get in there and ask them, their goal. If you were to have them write down their goals, man, basically they're overestimating how big the sport is. That's their problem. All right. Sports is about complexity, narrative, and communication. Sports that are complicated, like soccer, are more popular than sports that are less complicated, like javelin. All right. So volleyball's a little on the low end. Pass that hit. Like we went through it. It's 3 things. Not a big deal. Pass that hit. And it's complexity from the viewer's perspective. So there's a cap on how big volleyball will be. Period. You're not gonna. It's not gonna be as big as soccer. Period. It's gonna be bigger than javelin. Javelin will never. You can do whatever you want. So don't fool yourself. They talk about 900 million people. That is the biggest bunch of baloney you'll ever taste in your life. If you were to call up the FIVB and volleyball world and Finn, and this is a business term, if you were to say, tell me what your revenue projections are going forward, you would laugh at the naivete of what they're projecting they could do. And that informs the business model. And whenever I say that to everyone, go, well, you can't, you don't think volleyball is cool, you don't think it's great. No, I think it's great, but we're kind of, there's some sports that are a little niche, they call them. They lack complexity, narrative, and communication. They're niche. If you don't recognize that, you're not going to be able to go to the certified. So for example, one of the worst things that ever happened to beach volleyball was to get stuck in the minonette department of the supermarket. Okay, right? The indoor volleyball department. Why are the world championships every 2 years? Can somebody explain that to me? Okay. Why wouldn't you have a world championships every year? Does that make any sense to anybody? Well, let's look at indoor volleyball, minonette, our game. You can't have a world championships every year because the tournament takes too long. You don't have, an indoor volleyball does not have a weekend tournament to decide the world championships where the teams play 6 games or 4 games a day or whatever. That's not indoor volleyball. Indoor volleyball takes a month. How long are the world championships of indoor volleyball? Well, and so we have the World Cup one year, the World Championship, the Olympics. They're thinking of the FIVB as that beach volleyball in volleyball is volleyball, right? I have news for for Finn Taylor, FIVB, and all the people, when he came on and I heard him go, there's 900 million volleyball fans out there. And I said to him, I've never heard of a sport called volleyball in my life. All right. It doesn't exist. There's beach volleyball and indoor volleyball. And if you think they're the same sport, you're not paying attention, right? You don't know sports at the level, because they are not. They have different athletes, different people. They have different viewership habits. There's like, you think just because someone like indoor volleyball, they like beach, that's ridiculous. Anyway, let me tell you what we used to do. We used to have the World Championships in Rio in February. And there was 15,000 people in the stands with 5,000 people outside the stadium trying to get in who will never get in. There was great prize money. It was televised not only throughout Brazil, but throughout the world. Imagine, if you will, a World Championships of beach volleyball in Rio. You're in Europe, you're in North America, you're cold because it's February, and you see these people rocking out, having a great time, right? You know, it's sunny, it's hot. Everyone knows what's happening in Rio. Everyone's getting some. And they did that. It was successful and it made money. And I don't understand why they're not doing that. I don't understand why it was in Rome, and 2 years from now, it's going to be in Mexico. Okay. Like, they don't ask themselves this: why should I watch this sport, and how, like, which one should I watch? Okay, you're familiar with Grand Slams and with major tournaments. So when they FIB was this, and then they went this, they called everyone a Grand Slam. It's a Grand Slam. The FIB said, as usually, we have 15 Grand Slams this year, and I was like, well, you can only have four majors, because that's what a Grand Slam is. Well, they told me, Kent, this tournament wants to be a Grand Slam. I'm like, you're not a major tournament because you've called yourself a major. You're a major tournament because historically, that's the ones everyone knows are the championships of the championships, right? The genius of the Olympics is that every 4 years, they bring together a lot of sports, including ones that have low complexity and low narrative and low communication. They put massive communication on. Everyone knows the Olympic Games. Everyone knows what a gold medal is, right? And so some of these sports like javelin and shot put, and by the way, I'm not criticizing anybody at javelin or any sport. What I'm saying is, how often do you need to get the world's best together in a competition that people are going to watch? It seems that there's a lot of sports that 4 years is about it. So, all the javelin people, get together every 4 years, and let's see which one of you throws the stick the farthest, right? Now, what is volleyball? Like, the way I think about it is, are you expect, so the size of the volleyball, who's going to watch it is small. This is where I'd be thinking, like, how many tournaments are you expecting me to watch? Like, what are your big tournaments? Beach volleyball, FIVB. If you were to call it Volleyball World, I'd be like, hi, my name is Kent. Which of your tournaments are going to be the best? Give me the best two. You'd be like, what do you mean? We have a whole tour. We have 3 tiers and 6 tiers. And I go, no. I just want to know when. I'll watch, but I'm not sure I'm going to watch 6 tournaments. I watch one. Like, how often are you guys going to get together and showcase your talents? And why? Nobody thinks about it from the fans' perspective. From somebody like, if I was sitting there in Europe or North America and it was cold and snowy, and I got to sit there watching the TV, these awesome athletes compete in Brazil, and it's hot and it's warm and the stadium's going crazy, I'd probably tune in, right? Is that which ones are you focusing on, FIVB? Can you tell me? All right, Alex, which tournament should I watch this year? And why? You guys tell me. You're the guys who are putting together the split. And why is there only 16? Why isn't is this the one where the Olympics, right? Can anybody play in the Olympics? Anybody can play in the Olympic volleyball competition, can't they? You sure bet they can. These other terms, like, well, all right. So I know if I watch the Olympics, I'm gonna get the best beach volleyball, the best athletes in the world. They're gonna be playing their best. All right. You tell. Where's the next time? What, you call it World Championships and I'm supposed to go like, woohoo? Like, is it a World Championships? Are you guys taking it seriously? I get it. You call like that's the whole thing in our book. In 1976, two guys called the beach volleyball world championships because, well, they just decided to call it a world championship. Was it? Well, I guess so. They had the best athletes, but they just happened to be all from Southern California, from two beaches. Is that a world championships? Anyway, so I'm going now. I don't think I'm going to go 4 hours and 30 minutes. I'm going to die here. But do you see the difference? Do you see the difference of what back in our day, like we had the all right, so the Manhattan Open was considered the Manhattan Open was the tournament everyone knew, and they all came to it and everyone watched. There were 3 Cuervos, the Santa Cruz Boulder. Like we communicated to the market, these are the ones. If you have one tournament, if you're going to watch or come to one beach volleyball tournament, it's Manhattan. If you want to watch 4 beach volleyball tournaments, these are the 4 you should watch. If you're a fan that likes to watch every week, watch every week. If you're a fan in the Midwest, these are the tournaments you should go to. If you're a fan in Florida and you want to go to an event, this is what you should go to. Like that was our, and I look at their volleyball world site. I look at the AVP site, and I cannot tell which tournaments I should be watching or even going to. Should I go to that one in Mexico? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. The 2020. Wait, what year are we in? See this. The 2023. When is the world? Yeah, 2023, 2025. Like, should I go to Mexico and watch the tournament? Should I wait? Should I watch it? Is that going to be worth watching? Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit because I'm a little tired, but it's clear to me. It's clear to me that everyone, whatever their goals are, it is not to inform the world when the world's best athletes are getting together and why I should watch this particular one or that particular one.
That's a good point.
Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
And every other sport, ready? Which soccer games, if you're going to only watch one soccer match, which one would it be? Everyone's different, but
soccer, I'm worthless. But I'm thinking of Wimbledon as a good example of this. I don't know much about tennis, but I recognize that name.
Right. So if you're going to watch tennis match,
I don't know where it is. I don't know when it happens. I have no idea what it is, but I've heard that word since I was a child.
All right. So, all right. So whatever sports you want to watch, but everybody listening to this, think about this yourselves. Like, you're going to get the best tennis players at Wimbledon, the U.S. Open. All right. The British Open golf, the U.S. Open golf, the Masters golf. They're going to be there. They're going to be bitching to play hard. They want to win there. Right. So, is all right. Is that the one? Was the World Championship? You guys tell me if this is the one you're going to say is the test of the collecting of the great. You're right. Here's this point. You collect the best athletes in the sport, and you then tell everybody to come watch. Right? Pretty simple. Is that what? Where are you doing that? Anyway, and how many of these can you? Well, I get it. Every city wants to make that claim, right? We'll have 10 tournaments. No, we want all 10 to be the same. Well, I'm not going to watch 10. So if you don't tell me which one is the best of them, and again, that's going to be market determined. It doesn't matter what I want or you want or FIVB wants. The market will determine how big a sport is based on complexity, narrative, and communication. So you better get that right. You can have a lot of tournaments, but which ones are you going to tell me are the ones I should watch? I think I'm repeating myself. I think we answered the question. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's.
We should have had this at the beginning because I really like. This is I don't play volleyball anymore. I'd give you a little better answer, but seriously, like it is simple. Simple. It can be done. It's because you don't have what's called goal alignment in business school. Like I guarantee, if you make them write down their goals, if you look at their business plan, let me give you an example. I've done consulting work, and some restaurant group came in and wanted to hire me, right? And so I took a look. They wanted me to raise money for them, right? Because I'm a money guy. And so I said, okay, I'll look at the business, this and that, because you have to have an officer. You got to tell everybody. I counted the number of tables in the restaurant, and I counted the number of chairs because there's this restaurant space constraint. And I said, all right, they're only doing lunch and dinner. I said, but if they were open 24 hours a day and the restaurant was full, and they did this many turns, so everyone ate for an hour, how much money would they make? And I said, you guys don't have enough money to cover your expenses, so you don't have a business. And you're not going to be open 24 hours. You don't do breakfast. You're not always going to be full, and your tables of turns are going to be wrong. So there's no way to do business, and I'll never forget this. Well, can you still raise money for us? And I'm like, what? I go, all right, you want me to raise money for a business that I know is impossible to make? You don't have enough tables. They're like, well, do you know anybody else who can help us raise money? And I'm like, I swear to God, if you were to look at the business plan and the revenue assumptions of these guys, you would shake your head and go, you guys got no chance. No chance. But they'll limp along. They'll do all right. They think they can do it. Yeah, like we talked about before, everyone's living in kind of a distorted reality. So
yeah.
Yeah, the AVP is even more like, God, I don't know if I can. So God, can you see behind me? Like if you were to look at this is the Hermosa Beach Open when I played.
Yeah.
God, you know what? I'm going to do this because you guys have to see this and tell me if you can see it, because this tells the whole deal.
Are these the pictures you posted in the Facebook group also?
Yeah, I did. Well, this was a different tournament, but it's the same concept. All right, can you see that tournament?
Yes.
All right, go look up. This is the U.S. Championships, Hermosa Beach. It's probably got to be 1990 something, right? And then go. I swear to God, go right now to YouTube. Look up the World Championships in Rome, and you just be like, we did it. All right, ready? We did it. By the way, okay. So what's your guys? Sorry, I just think, am I recording? I think I'm dead. No, I'm not dead.
I can hear you.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Okay. We did it. It's not that difficult there. Go look in Rome. Where's Rio? Where's Rio? Go look at Rio. I got these pictures. God, where are my pictures here? Can you see the camera? Hold on here. Where is this? God, that's so funny. Can I get on here?
You got him on the phone?
Yeah, but not gonna be big enough. Yeah, maybe. All right, so. All right. So here is the tournament when I played in Hermosa Beach.
Uh-huh.
All right. This is Hermosa Beach a month ago.
Uh-huh.
Right? What you notice is, one, there's nobody there. Two, they smashed everybody into this really super small stage that's really high, and they pointed the camera out to make it look like there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Who wants to go to that tournament? This is so funny. Let me see here. Where's Rio? Hold on. I got my Rio pictures.
Background music.
Exactly. I can't.
You know what you have done? You have officially broken the length record of an episode on
That's
the
what I'm talking about.
podcast.
Winner, chicken dinner. All right, anyway, I was going to show you a picture of Rio in the World Championships when I played, and trust me, or go online, or I think I'm on Facebook. Trust me, the crowd is gigantic, and we made more money, and there was more people watching on TV than they did in Rome. I think it was a month ago at the World Championships. We did it. It's easy. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I mean by it's easy.
Makes sense. It's good to get these thoughts out there in the public, I guess. I think there's a lot of people that care about making this sport better, and and I think I don't know. When I started, I didn't know. I wasn't a part of what happened before I started. So so I like hearing these ideas. I like.
Yeah. Well, don't call me. FIVB. I've done it. By the way, the funny thing is, so we went up, and then in the late '90s we went bankrupt because a bunch of people, everybody wants to steal it. Everybody thinks they're going to make money. Everyone wants to control it. It's actually in our book. These guys want to control it. These guys want to control it, and it's always the same. It's always somebody comes in and has an unrealistic expectation. Their goals are not aligned correctly. Their revenue models are off, and there you go.
Yeah. I'm gonna end this podcast by giving you the opportunity to, if you want, give out contact info to you. It sounds like you're not coaching. I don't know if you want anything with volleyball to do anymore.
No, I was a player. I'm not a coach, so yeah. But I applaud coaches everywhere. If FIVB, if you'd like me to consult with you, or I'd talk to you, I'd do it for free because I love the sport. No, you're not gonna. No one's gonna call me. Finn Taylor, Volley World. I know exactly how to run the tour to make it money and to have it be big. 310-991-5368. Kent@kentsteffes.com. DM me on Facebook. I'm going to do my job because I'm not expecting any calls. I've been in this too long, Alex. I've been in this too long. If they wanted it to be big, it would be big. If they wanted it, Call me FIVB. Call me Finn Taylor and Volleyball World. I got a Stanford MBA, and I was the #1 player in the world, and I was the one who grew the beach volleyball tour in the AVP to the highest level it's ever been in America, and that was bigger than even your tour. So I've done it too. Thank you very much. I won't hold my breath.
We'll see what this is.
By the way, I must say, and I'm a little tired here, so I'm really much more better when I've had a little food. Anyway, yeah, trust. I have a sort of a personal philosophy. It is what it is. It is what it is. So I could sit there and bemoan the fact, I wish I was still involved. I wish they'd listen to me. Can you believe they don't take my business plan? You can whine. It is what it is. It is what it is. Life is too short, and it's too wonderful, and it's too awesome, and there's too much to do, and there's too many people to talk to, and too much fun to have. To be, worried about this stuff. But call me, Finn. Call me.
We'll see if he does.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
He calls me, I'll fly out here, Alex, for a steak dinner and a personal tour of State Beach. He's not going to call me.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for this episode. I don't know how to thank you enough. I have a lot of new thoughts to process, a lot of things to try out in my own game. I'm sure the listeners have the same. I'm very happy that these thoughts are recorded.
Cool.
And I hope you are too. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah. This will be my Magnus Opum. What is it? Magnus Opus? Yeah, whatever it is. This is just, I got it all out. All other podcasts, just take clips from here. You don't even need me anymore. I don't think I had any more to say. The whole session, I'm done. It'll just be a repeat from here on out. Jesus. Is this how all the podcasts are? 4.5 hours? I'm new to this. Dude. Oh, my shoulders are stinging. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Oh, it's fun. It was fun. And thank you. Thank you for giving me this experience. I never thought I'd be doing a podcast for 4.5 hours 6 months ago, and I had a fabulous time. And thank you, and thank all of you. Anybody out there who made it this far, this entire time, bless you. Thank you, and go for it. Go for the gold. Go play volleyball. Get out there and do your best. Literally, just go have fun. Truly.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Fucking amazing.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Super.
Yeah. You too. Bye.
Bye.
What's up, Alex here. Hope that you have enjoyed the episode. Hope that you have learned a lot. Hope that it has sparked some new curiosity to maybe some new details of the game. So I'm a guy that really values conversation and discussion about our sport. I truly believe that together we can spark off more ideas than if we all individually think about this sport in our own corners. It's like together we can just get further. And I would like this podcast to not only be a discussion between me and my guests, but I would like to also invite you guys into the conversation, because you guys are all over the world. You have perspectives that I don't have. You have perspectives that my guests don't have and whatnot. And if we discuss all together, we can just get further. So the cool thing is that there is a comment section on YouTube for this episode. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you can just go down and find it. If you are listening to this episode on a podcast app, I will have a link to the YouTube version of this episode in the podcast episode description. And you can click that and go and find the comment section. So if you want, go there and write your thoughts, write your comments, write your questions, write your agreements, disagreements, whatever it might be. Kent has not promised, but he has hinted that we might be able to do a follow-up episode to this interview. And I think that it would be super cool if in that follow-up episode, if it happens, maybe we could bring up some questions from you guys. Maybe we could discuss them and, see where that leads. Other than that, ever since we recorded this interview, I have seen that Kent has actually created even more content. He has produced some of his own videos where he shares even more thoughts about the sport. And at least when I watched those videos, I did learn even more stuff about the sport. So of course, I want to provide you guys with maximum resources. So I will link to those videos as well in the podcast episode description. So if you want to go and nerd out even more, you can go there and watch those videos as well. But yeah, thanks for listening. Again, I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider sharing this episode to a friend, a training partner, your volleyball club, whatever it might be, anyone that you think can find value from this. Also, please subscribe to my project, all of it, the YouTube channel, the podcast, my email list, all of that. Also, if you want to help the podcast out, you can always go and write a review in your podcast app for this podcast, because that just helps, other people find the podcast and with the growth and all of that. Also, another thing that I would want to invite you guys to is to, in that same comment section, you could go, if there's any people around the world that you really wish I would interview in this podcast, people that have a lot of volleyball smarts in them that you would wish I would sit down and try to ask them some smart questions. If there's any people out there like that you would want me to interview, why don't you write their names in the comment section, and I can reach out to them and say, hey, my followers wanted me to interview. Do you want to be a part of the podcast? And of course, I can't promise that they will say yes, but I know that the more this podcast grows, the easier it is for me to get those yeses. So why not? I mean, my motto is sort of, if you don't try, then you don't know. And I'm willing to try. And, I think it's fun if you listeners are an even bigger part of how this podcast evolves. So why not? Okay, cool. That was it for this time. Keep on nerding out about beach volleyball. Keep on listening to these podcasts. Keep on practicing. Keep on playing games. Keep on enjoying the game. Keep on enjoying life. And I'll talk to you soon again in another podcast episode or YouTube video or whatever it might be. All right. Have a good one.